Hey guys, Matty B with Allegiant Canine. I'm here with little Luke Casey today. He is a 5-month-old Doberman puppy, and he belongs to a neighbor of mine who had her first day of work today. So he's hanging out with Uncle Matty a little bit and with Mama Mila, and they're doing really, really good together. He is super, super sweet. I met him right outside, and the first thing that we did was I just squatted down, I turned away, and I let him just come check me out, and then that was it. I let him meet me first. That is the biggest thing. When you're introducing dogs to people, you gotta remember that dogs have this consensual space thing where it's like, you're obviously not my handler because you're not holding the leash. Another thing that you can do is just hand your leash off to someone, and it teaches the dog to go be a dog of someone else. Everybody can be a handler, okay? So anyway, this guy's been amazing. We're gonna do a little bit of shaping today, and this morning he was fasted for breakfast, so we're gonna use some food. I got it together in a little yogurt thing here, and we're gonna do some work. So I'm not actually gonna turn this off the whole time. I'm just gonna keep it rolling so that you can kind of see the ease of my process here. Oh, that's a good boy. As far as supplies for training go, all that I use is a long leash, a short leash or regular leash, a toy, and then some food, okay? We're gonna keep it really simple. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move my phone over to this side so that you can actually see what the process is of teaching this dog a communication system. So before we can actually start to pay the dog for anything, I wanna make sure that I have some kind of word that allows me to fade out the payment eventually. Just like if he does something naughty on the walk, I wanna be able to say no and him just ignore whatever the thing is, okay? That will allow me to fade out the correction as well. Are you giving kisses? Yeah. He really likes Mila, and he's slightly taller than her, so she's like, can we put me away? So I'll probably put her away here in just a second. All right, let's get all set up really quick. You can see my super fancy tripod when we get done at the end. So I'm gonna move this camera over here. And the first thing that we're gonna do is the yo-yo game. So if you're a client of mine, then you would be very familiar with the yo-yo game. It is the process by which we teach the communication system. So to put it simply, what we're doing with the yo-yo game is teaching the dog marker words or bridge words that go from the behavior to the payment. So what that does is the dog performs the behavior, I use the marker word, and then the dog gets paid for it. So they develop this consistent expectation for payment, and they start to have an emotional or neurological reaction to that word. The value of that is when the dog is away from me and I use one of those marker words, I can get the dog to come back into my space. The second value there is I need to be able to have the dog give me space. I need to say, you need to go over there. You're gonna receive payment over there. And then the dog needs to understand that I should be able to come into his space as well, okay? So that is how a dog perceives everything, is how does someone occupy space? So what I'm doing right now is I'm letting Mila advocate for herself and saying, I need you out of my space. You're being annoying. You're being a puppy right now, and it's a little bit too much. So I really like doing stuff like this because it gives her an opportunity to be tested, but it also gives him an opportunity to be corrected. So, and she's very fair. She's helped rehabilitate 276 aggressive, reactive, and behavioral dogs. So it's kind of cool to see how much experience that she has. So whenever I'm doing my charging your markers game, all that I need is just the dog's kibble. I don't use treats or anything like that. I keep it really simple. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab this here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna start teaching him how to give me space, how to come into my space, and how to let me come into his space, okay? So all I'm gonna do is just pop this open here, and we're only gonna use just a little bit of this. I'll save some for later. I'm actually gonna put Mila away. Mila, okay? All right, and he is excited. So the first thing that I always do is I give the break, and I throw that food out there. Yes. Break. Yes. Break. Yes. Excellent. Okay? Nothing complicated. Break. Yes. Okay. Good. Okay. So the first several reps that I did there, I actually used break yes, over and over again because I'm sending him out, I'm pulling him back in again. So what this is doing is teaching him the meaning of those marker words. We're not quite into that free shaping space yet because I'm helping him a lot right now know exactly what to do. And even when I do my free shaping, I insert the yo-yo game with break and yes to be able to send him out, pull him back in again, and to kind of reset his brain. So I'm going to show you how I go through that process. But as an overall picture, if you have a puppy who's younger, who's stepping into that phase where they're starting to kind of blow you off a little bit, this is going to be super, super helpful for you. Another thing that people criticize me for a lot is recording videos in portrait mode. The reason that I do that is 99% of statistics are made up, first of all. 99% of my clients are watching this on their phones. So what that means is you're probably not going to get a whole lot of benefit from turning the phone sideways. You want to hold it up. It also represents the path here, so you get a little bit better view of what we're actually doing. So as I'm starting to train this, the idea is I'm teaching him what my human words mean. And if I can say a human word and get a certain response out of the dog, that is what dog training is. It is creating predictability and therefore freedom by being very clear with the dog, okay? So you can use whichever words that you want to. You can use onomatopoeic noises if you want to. You can use a clicker or different types of clickers if you want to. I like the verbal marker system because it allows me to vary my tone and my volume and things like that, and I carry it with me everywhere. Even right now, I have one hand with the big food thing in it. I have one hand that's feeding the food, so I'm kind of reloading here. So it gets overwhelming. So it gives me one more hand that I don't have to hold a clicker in, okay? So when I'm teaching this charging your markers lesson through the yo-yo game, the idea is to get the dog to reflexively respond to break, yes, break, yes, break, yes, break, yes, over and over again, until you'll notice, and you saw him do it several times here now, where he'll come into my space and he just offers a sit. That's what I'm looking for, because that's the creative mentality, is I can now start to kind of control the food that's in his hand, and I can get a little bit operant with him, okay? So I'm gonna do the exact same thing. Break. Yes. Just a little step back. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Break, and it can be any direction. I like to use a straight line, but you can go left and right too if you want. Yes. So as soon as he finishes eating the food over there, I give him that yes. Good. Now with the good marker, you notice break, I'm coming into his space for the payment. Okay? Yes. Good. You gotta pay attention to your order of your senses here. Listen, look at the timing, good, and then I step into his space and pay. So you're spending all over the place. Get all the food. Get up there. Good job, buddy. Get this one. Nice job. So I gotta make sure that the timing of my marker happens first, and then I move towards the dog. Then I go and reach toward the food. If I'm standing here like this, that's fine. But if I'm standing here like this and I go, good, then he's gonna pay attention to the movement of my hand to that bucket, okay? So you gotta be careful of your timing. It goes marker and then movement to pay, all right? So he's over there, I'm gonna say yes. That pulls him immediately into my space. And you can use any word for that. You can even use your commands as a marker. I'm gonna show you an example of that. Go. Here. Sit. Go. Here. Sit. Oop. Pick it up. Okay, break. But it works better with the reflexive markers where you're sending the dog away. Go. Here. Excellent. I'm going to withhold for a second. Good. Notice the good, I'm moving into his space here. Okay? That's the yo-yo game. It's not super complicated. And more importantly, we've been playing this game for about 10 minutes now. That's about all that I'll do, and then I'll take the rest of the dog's meal and put it down in a bowl for payment, okay? So you can lure with the whole bowl of food even if you want to as well. So the importance with these little sessions is I want to be able to take this dog through 4 things each and every day. One of them is work. That's something that we created to be able to maximize behavior for human society. Okay, that's super, super important, but it's not something that the dog needs biologically to survive, all right? It's not something that he necessarily needs for emotional regulation per se. Now, in human society, we have a lot of different situations that are very, very abnormal for a dog. I'm gonna save this food to the side for just a second. One of those things is taking walks. It is normal for a dog to be in pack drive, but it's not super normal for a dog to be walking on a river of rock down a path toward directly facing other dogs and people. In fact, in the wild, if there's 2 packs of wolves that are walking directly next or directly toward each other, even 2 packs of feral dogs, it's probably going to be a fight, right? So we have to acknowledge this is not super normal for dogs. It's more normal for us. So I have to be able to be understanding when I'm out there on a walk and the dog vocalizes a little bit toward another dog or a person with a dog, or they chase a rabbit or a squirrel. That's normal stuff. And what I usually see is clients getting really, really emotionally frustrated because the dog is not paying attention to them when they're outside. And here's the deal. J-Jack from GRC Dog Sports calls this the 4 windows theory. And 3 of these things are absolutely necessary for the dog's survival. And one of them is something that we added to make the dog be able to coexist in human society. The first thing is an opportunity category. That means that the dog finds opportunities for reinforcement. And the biggest, most important opportunity, the biggest drive gear that we're going to see out of that dog is freedom. And what that means is directing energy out into the environment, okay? And I'm going to show you how I do that with him here in just a second, okay? That is pushing out into the environment, that's chasing things, that's catching things, that's destroying things and eating them, that's digging up things, that's bringing you sticks, that's climbing on things, running, jumping, spinning, all the different things of being able to just express that energy out into the environment. I usually tell clients if you're not doing that for 5 to 10 minutes a day with your dog, you're dropping the ball, okay? So 5 to 10 minutes of freedom. And if you're in an apartment complex like I am, you could easily just get a long leash or a retractable leash like this, connect it to the flat collar, and just let the dog go hog. All right, so let him run around in circles, let him dig holes, let him sniff things, let him find a mole, dig it out of the ground, kill it, and eat it. I don't care what you do, but let the dog get that sniffing and that expression out into the environment, okay? That's probably gonna win over everything else. But as you build relevance through work, which is an inevitability category on the bottom here, then work allows me to capture a little bit more relevance, and I get control, but control is not the first goal. The goal is connection. It's relationship. It's for the dog to understand that I'm going to make these 2 things down here, the inevitability categories, 100% inevitable. So work and rest are things that are inevitable. And rest is exactly what he's doing right now. That means you're coexisting with the household members. You're not necessarily doing anything per se, but I might have you go lay on place or something like that. And again, all of these categories kind of affect each other, but if I could spend 5 to 10 minutes in work, 5 to 10 minutes in freedom, and then the last active category is 5 to 10 minutes in play. And play changes just a little bit because that changes the focus of that energy that we saw into me. So I say, do you want to play? And then boom, there's the toy. We're just doing a little bit of engagement through play here. All right, now the dog's pushing that energy into me. And usually I do most of my play outside because I want to set an example for the dog that this is just where we do this stuff, okay? So usually play and free are outdoors because those are opportunity. I also want the arousal level inside the home to be pretty calm. So I might work everywhere, and my work sometimes looks a lot like play. Sometimes my work looks a lot like freedom, but a lot of times it's mainly rest. It's be still for a moment, and then I'll call you to me, okay? So as I work into these different drive gears, if I make my work and my rest look if I make my work look as much like play, rest, and freedom as possible, then I'm gonna have a really happy, fulfilled dog, okay? So as I'm building that prey drive of this toy right here, I'm letting him direct that energy into me via aggression, and it's controlled aggression, but it's using those teeth, okay? It's very, very chill right now. I'm just kind of building that possession right now. So when I'm working on my, we talked a little bit about the category of work of teaching the markers. Now I'm going to talk about the language of play. And the language of play training is I want the dog to feel like he can steal this from me. So I'm going to let him steal it. Yeah, good job, buddy. Good job. I'm going to let him take it away from me. Yes, good job, buddy. My hand goes back on the dog. Very nice. Give a little tug here. Get it, get it. And I want him to steal it again. Good job, buddy. Get that thing. Get that thing. I build a little curiosity here. A little frustration where he misses it. Ooh, there you go. Ooh, yeah, you gotta be faster, huh? There we go. Excellent. And then possession. He's gonna put that foot on there and then he's gonna put it in his mouth. Good, there we go. And then within possession, I want compression, which is I want the dog to hold on to that piece of toy and I want him to put it way back in his mouth. I want depth, okay? I want him to steal it from me here. Get it. Get that thing. There we go. Good boy. Did you hear that little growl? That is controlled aggression. That is the best form of play for a dog like this, okay? So he's zooming around. He's expressing energy a little bit. He's throwing a praise party. Yes, good boy. Hand goes on the dog. Good job. Tug, tug, tug. Good job. Very light tugs. I'm going to have him steal it again. Good boy. Get it, get it. Get it, get it. Get that thing. Get that thing. Good boy. Yeah. You're so handsome. Oh, good boy, Lukey. What's she doing? Yeah. Good job, buddy. Good job. Tug, tug, tug. Good boy. Good job. Very nice. Left and right. Left and right. Oh, sorry. That was a little too hard. Get it, Bubba. Get it. Left and right. There we go. We're getting some growling going there. Yeah. There we go. And I want him to steal it. Yeah. Yeah, Bubba. Yeah. Give me some growls here. There we go. Good job, buddy. Yay! Good boy! Good job. Throw a praise party. And then when he comes back again, yes! Good job, Bob! Good job. Go run. Good job. Yes. What a good man. Yes. Good boy. Good job. And he's trying to figure out a place to go hide it over there. Yay. Good boy. Hand goes on the dog. Excellent. At the very end of the session, I'm going to hold the toy. I'm going to position the dog for a second. I'm going to grab the toy to be able to alleviate the tension. I'm going to make it dead. Out. And then I remove. Excellent job. Now my toy can be used for obedience, okay? So we're at 20 minutes here. We've done 2 short little sessions. We charged markers. We taught the dog the language of play. He understands it because he's a dog, right? It's very, very simple. I use break, break. There we go. Yes! Good boy! He's gonna throw a praise party for a second. I use break, yes, and good with the toy, just like I do with the food. So I can play the yo-yo game with food as a reinforcer, with touch as a reinforcer, or with a toy, so treat, toy, touch. So as I'm doing my play, as I'm doing my training, I can make my teaching the communication system, I can make that look a lot like play, even though technically it's work and it's for the purpose of work down the road, okay? So I have, in order for me to continue to be clear, the dog needs to know the exact moment that he's correct, which means in his brain, the exact moment that he's gonna get paid for. And he needs to know, where is that payment gonna come? Because again, if I say yes, he's gonna come towards me. And if my intention is that he continue to stay, I need to say good. Okay, so break sends you away, yes pulls you into my space, good pays you in place. All right, break sends you away, yes pulls you into my space, good pays you in place. All right, so he has the toy, he's over there. Now I'm going to actually step into his space. Good. And without any conflict, I'm going to hold the toy. Hi, buddy. Out. I'm going to slowly remove that toy. Excellent. And I'm going to remove it. Bonk. Here you go. Just for fun. Just a little jackpot. Get all those cookies. Good job, buddy. All right. So when I think about all of the different things that pertain to dog training, I think the biggest confusion comes in with operant conditioning, with reinforcement and punishment. All that reinforcement means is increasing a behavior. Punishment means decreasing a behavior. It doesn't mean being a jerk. It doesn't mean being retaliatory. It literally just means, how do I increase behaviors and decrease them? Now, there's 2 things that I can do to do those things. I can add something or I can take something away. So when you put that on a grid, this is going to be backwards right now because we are doing a forward facing, but I'll stop really quick and I'll switch this around and you can take a look at this flipped around. So there's 2 things that increase behavior and there's 2 things that decrease behavior. And I don't really want to pay attention to the words negative and positive reinforcement. It kind of gets confusing. So I'm just going to use these words: payment, pressure, prevention, and proofing or punishment or penalty. Okay? So payment, pressure, prevention, and proofing. And the only difference between these is whether I'm adding something to increase a behavior, I'm removing something to increase a behavior, I'm taking away something to decrease a behavior, or I'm adding something to decrease a behavior. So let's flip it back around again. So whenever I'm teaching a client all of these things, I use the words payment, pressure, prevention, and proofing. Payment, pressure, prevention, proofing, okay? So payment is I'm giving the dog something to increase the likelihood of that behavior. Pressure is I'm taking something away, like comfort, through pressure, and I'm going, don't do that. So I'm giving a little bit of pressure to the dog, and that can come through the leash, that can come through spatial pressure. Let's say that he is trying to get something that I don't want him to have, or he's not in a position that he's supposed to be in. When I say no, I move toward the dog. So for example, he's standing here. I have something that he wants here. He was supposed to be in the sit, and I go no. And he goes back into it, and then I can pay him. All right? I'm going to give him a little space here. No? Perfect. My goal is not only that he not get up, it's that he continues sitting. So I need to build I'm using a little spatial pressure through luring to keep him in that sit. Okay? Good. Excellent. Every time he starts to touch eyes with me, then I'm paying him for that. I'm saying good, and I'm coming into him for payment. Okay? Free. Free means you can just go be free. Just go be chill. Yeah. There's no reinforcement on the other end of that marker because it's an unpaid marker. Just like whenever I have a dog that is already trained and they offer me a sit, I'm like, you're so good. Like, I don't use good as a marker. I might be like, nice job, you know? So as we're going throughout this whole process, what makes a puppy successful is that I'm able to actually fade out all of the input that I used in the training process and just be able to engage with the dog. So eventually my goal is to fade out my payment, to fade out my pressure, to fade out my prevention, letting the dog just exist in the house, and to fade out my proofing. So if I want to be able to do that, that's the order that I need to go in. And as I step up into different distraction levels, I'm able to proof a dog with higher and higher levels of obedience. I use the physical, spatial, social, relational proofing mechanism to be able to add distance, duration, distraction, and directionality to all of the obedience commands. So if I want an implied stay, I can do that by using these different types of pressure or correction. And as I'm going through that process, I need to increase my level of distraction. So it may start off in the living room, and then it goes to the backyard, and then the driveway, and then the front yard, and then the sidewalk, and then the neighborhood, and then the park outside in your neighborhood, and then the public park, and then the patio restaurant or whatever, and then maybe walking outside a dog park. Whatever that continuum looks like for you, you have to make sure that you keep your expectations and your emotional self focused on what is the goal and am I being realistic with that goal, okay? So don't beat yourself up, just take things a little bit at a time. I have a phone call that I have to make, so I'm gonna hop off here for just a second, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna continue by talking about freedom, expressing energy into the environment, and then rest, okay? Talk soon. All right, we are outside now. Just got done with my appointments, and he just went poop. So I'm giving him some time to just be free and zoom around on the retractable lead here. And a lot of people ask me, how do you do the long leash? And there's a whole video on YouTube about how to do the long leash. It's super, super easy. The biggest thing with the long leash is I let the dog travel around. When the dog is in free, that means that they can, when I say free dog, that means you can go do anything. You can eat leaves, you can pick up a stick, you can dig a hole. He's eating some snow right now off the ground. All of that is okay, because 65 to 75% of your dog's brain is olfactory, which means that he needs to sniff, he needs to move around. So what I'm gonna do is, he's been in free for the last like 5-10 minutes. He pooped, he peed, and he's just been kind of eating some snow and digging in the grass a little bit, just doing dog stuff. So now I'm gonna change the tone to directing energy into me through play, all right? So I'm gonna say, you ready to play? And I'm gonna present that toy. He's digging a little bit. You wanna play? Yeah, good boy, what's that? I'm giving him a little push there, and I'm putting all that focus on the toy. Good, get it, buddy. Get it, and I want him to take it from me. What are you doing, crazy boy? What are you doing? Oh, boy. Yeah. Good job, buddy. Good man. What do you got there? What do you got there? Yeah. Good job. Yes. There we go. Good boy. Yes. Good boy. Look at that handsome boy. Pat, pat, pat. Good job. Tug, tug, tug. Get it, get it. Get it, get it. And I want him to take it from me. Get it. Get it. He really needs to be off the leash for this. Get it. Get it. Oh, good boy. Yes. Good job, buddy. Good job. Look at that good man. Yes, your leash is in your mouth right now. Probably a little confusing. So I'm going to separate here. Out. Just by relaxing that toy a little bit. Good. Now, what I'm going to do is, he's confusing the retractable leash for the toy. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna lengthen it all the way out. Like that. So that he doesn't start seeing this as a toy. There we go, we're at 16 feet there. I'm just gonna stick this in my pocket. Girls' jeans are terrible pockets. Guys' jeans have good pockets. Break! Get that thing. Yes! Good boy! Good job, buddy! Nice job. Yeah! Look at that good man. Notice how I'm dynamic. I'm moving away from him. I'm pulling him into my space. Yes! Good boy! Get it, get it, get it! Yeah! Get that little pop there. Yes, good boy, come on, come on. He's just like a little horse. He's like a little horse. Come on. Yes, good boy. Good job. There we go. Nice job, buddy. Very good. A little celebration. Yes, very nice. And he's starting to realize this isn't as fun without him bringing it back to me. He's just kind of chomping on it right now. I'm going to walk up to him. Grab the toys. Good. Good. And we're going to play a little tug. Good job. And at the very end of my play session, good job, buddy. I'm going to relax the toy a little bit. Say the release word. Out. Good. No. Now I'm going to ask for that speak. Woo woo. Woo woo. Hey. Woo woo. Woo woo. Woo woo. 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 I want two of them. Woo woo. Woo woo. Woo woo. Two. Woo woo. Say woo woo. Woo woo. Woo. Woo woo. Woo woo. Give me two. Woo woo. You ready? Woo woo. Woo woo. Woo woo. Woo woo. Tell me, what is it? Woo woo. Yeah, there you go. Good job, buddy. Yay, good boy. Good job. Very nice. All right, and it's cold as hell out here. I'm going to let him circulate for just a second. Good job, buddy. Get it, get it. What are you doing? You got it, don't you? All right. Game over. Good job. Walking on the leash here. Outing that now. And I think that's your mom right there. Hey guys, so Luke had to go home and I just realized that I did not cover the rest portion of the video, which is super important for every dog. A puppy needs to learn it, but adult dogs need to learn it too. And in rest, the idea is this is one of the inevitability categories. So you have freedom and play where you're expressing energy, it's opportunity, it's explosion, it's reflexiveness, excitement. The arousal can be off the walls. Inside the home, I want it to be under that line. I want the work and the rest to be kind of chill. So inside the house, as you can see, Mila's laying on the couch over there. That's the dog couch. This is the idea that you're not doing those same things inside the house, but more importantly, I'm the one who controls when we do those things. So sometimes, just like I did earlier in the video, I will play inside the house, but we'll keep the arousal level kind of low, okay? So the idea here being that dogs understand that the person that's in charge is the person that chooses when we're in each of these categories right here, okay? So again, dogs are not wolves, wolves are not dogs. But if you watch wolves and there's a wolf that wants to play and the alpha does not want to play, the alpha will correct the other dog and hold it down until they stop, okay? The way that I do this is I put a collar on the dog and I let them drag a leash, and when they're inside the house, I'll just either tether them to something or I'll connect them to me. I'll turn it into like a gravitate toward me type of thing. Sometimes I even stand on the leash for a little bit while I'm cooking dinner or something. That way it's creating that idea of inevitability. So the reason that I wanted to make this video is that I think a lot of times we got into some pretty deep stuff on this video, but I want to simplify it for the everyday dog owner because I know that some of this stuff can get a little bit heady, okay? So to make this really simple, you're going to spend 15 to 30 minutes a day in each of those active categories of work, play, and freedom. And that might be 5 to 10 minutes in each of those categories. And then the rest of the time is rest. And if you feel like you need to put the dog in the crate to have them be able to rest, then do it. Okay? There's a lot of people that don't want to crate the dog all day because they think that it's cruel. And I think if you did it forever, I think it is cruel. I think it's really lame and you shouldn't have a dog. But I don't think that it's cruel for a time, and I think that we give dogs too much freedom too soon, which causes all the other misbehaviors. So if you have a dog that's getting in the trash, that's stealing food, that's stealing food from other dogs, that's tearing up stuff in your home, you need to advocate for your own space to be able to protect your environment, okay? So the way that you set up your environment, if it has structure in it, then you're practicing that prevention step, okay? Which that's probably the easiest part, but it's also the part that I think people feel the most guilty about because they're like, well, I'm working 8 hours a day, so that means the dog's, and it takes, an hour of travel, so the dog's in the crate for 8 to 10 hours a day. And they feel guilty about that. And I'm like, listen, before COVID, every single dog spent a lot of hours inside the crate, or they should have. Whenever COVID hit, what we saw was a massive explosion with reactivity and aggression, dog-on-dog aggression in the home, and just a general chaos. And the other day I was listening to a podcast, I won't say who, and they were talking about entropy and the idea of chaos. And in order for us to actually be able to control the results of our training, we have to have, and I'll get scientific just for a second, we have to have a control along with our sample. And the sample is the unpredictable dog, right? The control is what are the things that I'm doing to tell the dog this is what we do in this environment, okay? That could, an example of that could be crating. It could be having the dog just drag a leash around the house. It might be, hey, there are certain rooms that we don't go into, or it might be doorway control. So that's why we teach all of these skills in training, because as a dog trainer, I am responsible for showing an owner how to be the best steward of that dog to allow them to be able to enjoy as many pieces of freedom within the society that I create as possible. So if I am going to the patio restaurant once a week, then I want to be able to take my dog, right? It's nice to be able to do that. In order for me to have the freedom to do that, I have to have predictability. And in order to have that predictability, I have to be the one that shows that dog, I am the key. I am the gatekeeper to freedom, play, work, and to rest, okay? I also need to show the dog that I know how to advocate for your space. I know how to tell people, no, I don't want you to pet my dog, or no, I don't need other dogs meeting my dog on the leash. That's probably the biggest mistake that I see that causes dog fights in the world, is letting two dogs meet on the leash, because your dog may understand that you have control within a certain level of this with them. But imagine that there's this duplicated all around you. They don't always know that I, as the handler, have control over these other circles here that have just big question marks, okay? And that's where you get a little bit of fear, insecurity, potentially even reactivity or aggression, because they don't know 100% that I can control that thing. So there have been people that have reached out and petted my dogs that probably shouldn't have. And there have been times that I, kind of pushed my hand in and said, I'd rather you not pet them or whatever. And it hurts people's feelings because you don't have to be a jerk, but it's like everybody feels that it's the rite of passage to be able to pet everyone else's dogs. And I think we need to change that. I think that it's creating a lot of problems. The same can be true for like doggy daycare or the dog park, is that there are a lot of question marks to this. There's a lot of other kind of circles around that say, I don't know what that thing is, so I need to be able to greet it in a way that is not too much pressure or overwhelming me. There's a lot of different concepts that we talk about in training that are probably a little bit too much for the average dog owner, but one of them that I think that you could understand is just being overwhelmed. And there are environments that, like, I'm 36, I'm not old, but I feel old sometimes, and I'll go out into an environment and it's kind of loud, and I'm like, yeah, I can't hear anything that you're saying. It's overwhelming for me, so I'm uncomfortable. Therefore, if someone makes me be in that environment, I get a little short. I get a little snippy. I'm like, yeah, dismissive even. We need to help our dogs to be able to make the right decisions. And in order to do that, we have to be able to control the environment and to show the dog that I do have executive control over what comes into your space. There are 3 spiritual things that I believe that dogs understand just by the nature of being dogs are crucial to understanding how they perceive the world. The 3 sacred things for dogs are space, stillness, and the sense gates. And you could say silence is part of that too, but space, stillness, and the sense gates. So space, how we move in space and things that are moving in space with me, and then how I am allowing the sense gates to be approached and entered with each of those dogs. So when I first met Luke for the very first time, I said, hey, I'm Matt, I live over here. I'd love to meet your dog. And I squatted down, I turned away, I squatted down, and I literally just let him come up and sniff me. And still, even with that, he kind of was like, "Rrr." He was like, this is weird. This is kind of like different. And I was like, hey buddy, what are you doing? And I looked away and all that stuff. So the idea here was to allow the dog to enter my space for a moment so that he could understand I'm not going to encroach on you because I don't know you. There is a sense of otherness when there's one person holding the leash and then there's one person that's kind of the target. So if I'm that target, the way that I can start to build some predictability and trust with that dog is letting them open those sense gates on their own. The way that I handle that is I go through that exact order and I immediately start playing the yo-yo game. And then I ask for the leash and then I do turnabouts. And usually probably 3-4 minutes later, the dog's my best friend. Okay, this is why I'm able to work with a lot of aggressive reactive dogs with not a lot of bites. So with the sense gates, if I'm introducing a dog, the number one thing that I want them to do is to just be able to hear me and smell me and taste some food from me. And then eventually they touch me, they give me eye contact. If I can start kind of inserting the yo-yo game here, then by the time that I get down to my eye contact, I can start saying good and reaching into the dog's space for payment. So again, that's how I'm able to work with a lot of dogs that people say they're gonna bite you. When you come in, that's the first thing they're gonna do is just nail you. And I get it. And I think that we put our dogs in too many situations where the bad behavior is what's inevitable and we just let them rehearse it anyway. And that's not good, even with a dog trainer. So the way that I've been handling that a lot more lately is, especially for these young dogs and puppies, is being able to show them that I'm not going to let people just come up into your space. I'm going to let your arousal fall while you're in the crate and they're coming in and they're taking their coat off and all of that stuff. putting their stuff down. Hey, how you been? Blah, blah, blah. They come sit down, everybody eats, and then eventually the dog needs to go out to potty. So I'll let the dog out to potty, and then when I bring him back in, it's like boring. It's literally, they come and kind of sniff everybody and whatever, and I say, just ignore them for a little bit. And I can't expect everybody to follow this. In fact, I'm just going to tell you, they're not going to follow this. But the best way to explain this is just ignore the dog. Like if you want to give people some food or something like that, and just tell them, if they come up into your space, just let them take food out of your hand. Dog food, not people food. Let them take it right out of your hand, so that way they can kind of check you out as they're doing that. So it gives them a reason that they feel like they can come into your space. What you don't want to do is this. Imagine this is the dog's perspective. Hi, how you doing? This is scary, and that's why a lot of people get bit, especially, you know, all that stuff gets a lot of people bit. I think I'm on this like path with the algorithm right now, where they think that I want to see people getting bit because I get a new video every day of someone just getting absolutely obliterated by a dog that's obviously uncomfortable, usually on a leash, usually being held back from whatever that thing is, and someone's encroaching on their space. They're starting to baby talk them. They're starting to reach their hands into their space. It's really, really bad dog stewardship. You do not want to do that, okay? Now, with my dogs, while they're in, again, that rest phase, they're chill. There's no expectations of this constant reinforcement. So what you end up getting is a lot of chill, okay? So right now she's over here, and if I have a dog that has been trained on all these things, then they understand that when I enter their space, there's nothing that's bad that's gonna happen, okay? So with Mila, she actually looked at me about 20 seconds ago and she's like, why aren't you petting me right now? Yeah, what are you doing? So I can come and give my own dog smooches and she doesn't care. She understands that everything that is of value in her life is given by me. So of course I'm allowed to come into her space, okay? For kids, I would say it's the exact opposite. I would say when your dog is laying down and sleeping, maybe they're in their crate, they're on their placemat, they're up on a bed or on some furniture, which is arguable if that's good or bad, that the kid comes along and they're walking past and the dog nabs them. Why? Because a kid is not you. They have a different relationship. It's a different hierarchy. And when a dog walks into a room, they know that hierarchy instantly. So especially if you have kids that are like zooming all over the place and the dog's like, I have to pay attention to like all these different things. Herding dogs are really bad about that. Heelers, collies, corgis, Aussies are notorious for chasing down and biting kids because they're trying to slow everything down in the environment. And my rule is, I'm the police, you're not the police. So you don't get to decide who comes in and out of doors, you don't get to decide who's where, but you still have to prevent a lot of that stuff. So when I have clients that they're mad at the dog or they're frustrated with the dog, usually, almost 100% of the time, again, all statistics are completely, most statistics, I cannot say that word, are fabricated. A lot of the time, it is because we have not set up the environment in a way that's conducive for that specific dog. So with Mila, she's chill. Like she literally, I could have a cat in here, I could have kids, I could have chickens in here, and she will think those are family members because she understands. I've handed her leash to enough kids and let her play with enough kids that she understands any human being can be my handler. So I need to watch myself. They can give a leash pop. They can, if she knows that that is the case, then she starts to see everything as, okay, I surrender that activity. I don't need to do that anymore. That being said, she never has to get a correction. She's absolutely fantastic. She's my chill girl. So That being said, you guys know I have 2 other dogs. I have Milo and I have Wyatt. Milo loves digging in the trash. Could I potentially train him not to dig in the trash? Yes. Do I care if he does or doesn't? Not really, right? Like excuse me, that's not the right way to say that. Do I really feel like worrying about it right now? No, because guess what? When he comes in here, he goes and lays down in his crate. That's where he wants to be. So I close the door, all right? If I leave Wyatt out in here, he's my blue heeler, he gets into everything. He'll be on top of the counter. Like he's like a little raptor. He's almost 13 years old and he will still get in he'll get inside the trash can and pull it out all over the place. Could I train that? Yes. Do I decide instead to use prevention and let it just go extinct? Yeah, I do. And that's one of the kind of the redheaded stepchildren of the operant conditions, is using extinction, which is basically you prevent it until it's no longer needed anymore and the dog sees like this is not a behavior that brings any reinforcement. So they can forget about it sometimes they're not exercising that neural pathway and the neural pathway just dies. So there's a lot of stuff like that happens in dog training that I don't make a huge deal out of. So I hope that this has been helpful. I tried to make it as much of an overview with some specific tools that you can use to step into freedom, play, work, and rest. To be able to provide that opportunity, but also the dog understands that there will be times of inevitability where maybe we just need to be chill, calm, or still. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please let me know. A couple of the tools that I used in this video that I recommend consistently are the foamdogballs.com. This is the small, and you can see it's gotten some wear and tear on it. I have 3 of these. And I love the Ultimate Grip on here. Another tool that I really like is the Redline Canine or Viper Canine sells these nice Biothane leashes that you can use a nice proper leash grip. It's kind of a rubbery leash. This one's a 6-footer. You're just being so good. Really nice brass clippy thingy. And then as far as collars go, I really like these Tactipup collars. Wyatt's finally broke. It's like 7 years old. So this is Mila's. It's by Tactipup, and they are embroidered. And even the cheapest one that they sell, this is like a maybe $35 collar. Even the cheapest ones that they sell have that nice firm clip. They're just really, really good quality. So I have one of those for each of my personal dogs. Super awesome day today. Luke did an absolutely fantastic job. But more importantly, when he gets that fulfillment, then he's not constantly looking for things to get into. And that's really, really important. Now that I've shown him that Uncle Matty will be showing him that inevitability and that opportunity, now he needs to do it with Mom, okay? There is a contextual association when you train a dog. That's why again, 75% of the time, my client is Mom, okay? Dads, you better get consistent, because what you'll see happen is the dog used to listen to you a lot more because they saw you a lot less and they had a little bit more spatial respect for you, and they didn't want you coming into their space. That's a very low level of accountability. You need to be able to develop a relationship and a connection with that dog, to build a communication system, and to be able to go out and engage with that communication through play. And this is why play is so important from a psychological perspective, is that if I have all structure all day long and the dog is doing all the things, yes, no, that's correct, that's not correct, they're obedient, that doesn't necessarily prevent behavioral backlash. What does is getting the dog out and playing, whether it's with the environment or with me. So in the home, if you're having some issues, please drop me a DM. If you have dog-on-dog aggression in the home, the best thing that you can do is return back to this state of preventing behaviors that you don't want first, so that we have the time and the space to be able to actually train it. Because the very nature of a dog being in my home is I'm not letting you just run in the neighborhood, right? So every one of us accesses prevention in some way. There are a lot of people overseas who they're banning crates right now, which I think is just stupid. And the reason for that is they don't think that we should own dogs in the first place. Okay, that's another worldview entirely. So if you have a dog inside your house or in a fence, then you're already practicing prevention. So why not put them in a crate? I don't know. Maybe it's the amount of time that they're concerned with, I'm not sure. But if you're giving them access to the world through freedom and play, then, in my opinion, I think that aggressive and reactive dogs need to be able to run at full speed, off leash, in order to recover 100%. So one of my first goals with reactive and aggressive dogs is to work the training plan so that we can actually get them off leash and have predictability, so that we can start to go exercise that energy out into new environments, okay? And that means all the safeties are in place, that maybe they're dragging a leash, they're dragging a long leash. We're taking that stair-step approach to distractions. But if you don't do that, then you're always going to be operating off of this false sense of security that my obedience is going to take care of my behavior, and it's just not, okay? If you're not taking care of the biological fulfillment, and if the dog doesn't know that you are the captain of the ship that's guiding them through each of those territories, then you're screwed. Something's going to happen at some point. And again, if you ever feel uncomfortable about a situation, then it's probably not the right move, okay? I will show you, I will coach you along the way, and I'll push you a little bit now and then, but I'll never put you and your dog at risk. It's just not worth it to me. I see a lot of clients who I trained the dog 6-7 years ago, and they're doing great today, but they have some little tweaks. If you're an existing client or a past client, who I consider an existing client, then if you have any issues, just reach out to me. Like any training that we do after the fact is just going to help you more. There's no judgment either. I had a client recently that their dog kind of relapsed a little bit and had a serious regression. And one of the things that they said is, we just felt guilty. We felt like we hadn't done what we were supposed to do. And I said, I get it. Like, everybody does that to a certain extent. You're not going to be able to keep the exact level of training that I would have if that same dog was living in my home. All right? I don't expect that. I have zero expectations. My expectation is this: that you love your dog, that you go out, and that you enjoy freedom with your dog. Okay? Love you guys very much. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, please drop me a comment. Sorry for the length. I got a little ranty there at the end, but I genuinely want you and your dog to live the best life possible for as long as possible, and to be able to have the most freedom possible as you go throughout that process. So anyway, love you guys. We'll talk soon. Matt with Legion Canine, signing out.